Hello, Mo here from MHK Building Solutions. Welcome to our channel. Today I'm making a video for you on how to change the left hand side block or left hand side manifold on a Worcester Green Star range. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's see what this floor manifold or left hand side manifold or left hand side block looks like here. Now this is how you find it within a boiler in this kind of position where it's facing you. So there's normally a sensor here with two cables or a plug connected to it. There's a screw that's normally holding this manifold to the body of the boiler. From the top we have the main heat exchanger flow pipe coming in connected here. From the side, on some models you have a bypass pipe connected, and then others is just blanked off. When you buy the new manifold in a kit, you will get loads of washers and you get a blanking plug for here as well. If you don't have a model that requires the pipe, then you just simply block that hole and that's it. So it's one generic left hand side block that you buy that will fit both variants, the one with the bypass and the one without it. Okay. Behind it we have two connections. As you can see, this is where it's connected to the plate to plate heat exchanger, and there's normally a screw through it here that's holding the plate to plate heat exchanger from the back. Then that leaves us with two more kind of outlets. This one here is where the hot water pipe then goes to the hot water tap, so it's connected to the boiler union underneath, which I'll show you shortly. And then this one here, the larger pipe, that's a 22mm connection that's connected to go to your heating circuit. So that's what this looks like outside, and now I'll show you how it looks within the boiler. Let's see. So the boiler we have here is a Green Star 29 CDI Classic. Now these boilers are fairly easy to work with because there's plenty of space compared to some Green Star models. This is a combi boiler, and let's assume that the left hand side block on this one failed, so we will change it today. Now the very first thing you see that the block is actually sitting behind the condensate trap. So we have to get rid of that first. We have to remove it safely before we get to the block. Now before we do anything else, the very first thing to ensure is your boiler is safely isolated. Okay, you've made sure that there's no power coming to the boiler, because you will be changing this manifold and there will be water that can go on the PCB and other electronic components. We will be removing some cables, so we need to ensure we carried out our safe isolation process and we made sure that this boiler is safely isolated. Okay, so we can't compromise on that. Once the boiler is safely isolated, that's when we can actually remove covers and get into it. So let's see what's holding this condensate trap in place. Can you see this clip here? So that's what's holding this condensate trap in place, and there is a handle on one of these, as you can see on the left. So it's just a matter of dropping that clip, as you can see there. So push that clip down and then just slide this condensate trap out and it just comes out. But obviously in real situation, what you would do is you will disconnect this pipe, because now you're removing this condensate trap completely. So you remove it, you cover your PCB to ensure there's no water leakage on top of the PCB that can damage the PCB. So once you've done that, what you will do is you will remove the connection, the pipe that's connected to the condensate trap. You remove the trap and safely just take it out and put it somewhere safe. Let's just put it here for now. Okay, so now you have better access to this manifold, as you can see in the back. Okay, now as you can see, the pipe that's connected to the top, that's the pipe that's coming from the main heat exchanger. If you follow it down, that's the pipe there. This boiler doesn't have the bypass, so that's blanked off. We have the temperature NTC connected just at the front there that we can simply disconnect, and we will. Then we have the hot water outlet connected there, and the last pipe That's the one here, and that's for the heat and flow. Okay, so that's the heat and flow itself. There's a screw holding it to the body at the back, and then there's another screw that's holding the plate-to-plate heat exchanger, as you can see just behind my finger. So that's another screw there that needs to be removed. Now, before we do anything, what we need to ensure is that the system is fully drained. So we will be isolating both flow and return. So using isolation valves on flow and return, we can isolate that. And we need to ensure that we isolate the cold water going into it as well. Okay, so for this one, we need to isolate both heating circuit and the water circuit, and then we can drain the boiler. Okay, so once it's safely isolated, what we need to do is now we need to drain the boiler. To drain it on this particular model, the drain off is actually just there, the one that's for the boiler, and it's actually piped in to the condensate. So if you had left this pipe connected to your condensing pipe, what you can do is you can simply undo this drain off and it will drain the boiler into condensate for you. So you can do it that way. If you didn't have that facility and this pipe was not connected, and let's assume that this was the drain off point just there, what you would do is you would connect a hose pipe to it, a connector hose to it, and then you just open that. Once you've opened this drain point, you can drain this boiler now. Okay, so once your boiler is fully drained, and also ensure that you open a hot tap somewhere below the boiler, so the hot water can just run through the main heat exchanger, come out of that pipe, and it drains it for you. Okay, so you need to make sure that your boiler is fully drained before we start in dismantling the manifold there. Once your boiler is fully drained, now you can start to dismantle the manifold. One thing to ensure is to spray plenty of WD-40 on all of these connections that you're going to remove. This will ensure that your pipes come out easily, otherwise the connection, the rubber washers, the O-rings on Worcesters, they stick really bad. This shouldn't be too bad, so we will just start to dismantle it now. We want to remove this cable out of the way, so that's out. Now everybody will have a different way of doing it, okay, and if somebody's got a better way of replacing these, please share that with us so we can all learn from that. What I normally do, I actually undo the bottom two nuts first, which is this connection here and this heating one. So that's a hot water pipe, as you can see, and that's the heating flow pipe. So what I do is I tend to just undo these two first. Okay, and this one as well. Okay, both connections undone. Now I normally lift this pipe up and move it to the side. What that? Okay, so it's actually moved to the side, which will then making the removal of that manifold 10 times easier. You don't want to leave this connected onto the union. I find this method to be very useful to remove the manifold as well as putting it back on as well, especially when you have the bypass pipe connected. So move this pipe, lift it, move it to the side. Do the same to the heating one as well. Sometimes it can be difficult, especially with one hand right now, but be persistent and it will give. Okay, so you just need to lift it up slightly and just slide it. Okay, once you've done that, as you can see now, it's not sitting on that union as it was before. It's just out of the way. So when I remove this, it will make it a lot easier to just basically drop the whole thing. Let's have a look. For the top connection, if you've not done it before, all you need to do is just squeeze this part together, this clip, and twist it. It's normally fairly easy to do, but sometimes you may have to use your grips for it. So once you've squeezed it and turned it to the side, this should easily lift up just like so. Okay, so that's done. So this pipe is now disconnected, heating pipe is disconnected, and we've got the top pipe disconnected as well, as you can see. So at least, there we go. Okay, so that's lifted off as well. So all we need to do now is undo that screw at the back that's holding the manifold to the body, and then undo another screw which is just at the back there, as you can see, which is holding the plate-to-plate heat exchanger. Okay, so let's do that next. Let's do the heat exchanger first. We need a long reach Phillips head screwdriver for it, so let's do that first. And then we will undo the screw, as you can see just at the back there, that's holding the manifold in place. Sorry guys, I've got plenty of WD-40 on my hands. I'm holding this camera in one hand and then trying to undo the manifold for you as well. Okay, that should be there or thereabouts. Okay, so let's see. There we go. A bit of water in there. At this stage, before I remove this, I always have my wet vacuum handy, because no matter how good you drain the system initially, you will always have some water. So just be prepared, guys. Okay, now let's see. There you go. So this is the removed manifold, as you can see. Now, if it's the first time you're doing it, there's no harm in removing one pipe at a time and replacing it into your new manifold. Do the same with washers as well. That way it will become a lot easier for you. Okay, now at the top, as you can see, there is that metal washer. In your new kit you will find two of these, so you can use one here. You don't need to use the second one on this one. You need to remove this sensor and replace it into the new one, because the new manifold will not have a sensor inside of it. So you need to replace that, put it into your new manifold. And also the new kit doesn't come with this screw that was holding it to the body. It does come with the screw for your plate-to-plate heat exchanger, but it doesn't come with that screw. So you need to take it out of the old one and put it into the new one. Okay, so let me just put my phone down and let's see if we can replace some of this stuff. I hope you can see it clearly, but let's see. Okay, so assuming this is our new manifold, okay, and this is the one we removed, so that's the damaged one. This one will have its own, obviously, kit to go with it. Plenty of washers that you will find, but we don't have that right now. We don't have the pack of washers with us right now. I'll use this one. This is in a bit better condition. So what we're going to do first of all is let's start with this screw. Okay, so this screw here and this rubber. So you will get this rubber in your pack, and what you want to do to this rubber is put it in the new manifold. The new manifold will not have a rubber inside of it, and this is where it's actually held onto the body. So let's just remove this out of the way. So all you need to do is this rubber, as you can see, that just goes, it doesn't go this way, it actually goes from behind the manifold. Okay, so it goes in this way here. Okay, and then all you do is you put this screw through it, and that's not going anywhere. It's not going to drop out up until you pull it, but it just holds. Okay, so that just sits there. What we want to do next is we want to take out this sensor and we want to put it into that new one. Okay, so let's remove it out of the old one. So all we do is we lift this clip up. You will get a new clip in your pack as well, so you can put a new clip in. You don't need to reuse this, but because we don't have the pack of washers, what we will do is we'll reuse that. Now, as you can see, there's a bent side to this clip and there's a straight pin, and on here you can see that there is a little slide for this bent side, and this is just a straight hole. Okay, so what we do is we place in that hole first, position it so it's on that sliding area, and it just slides down, as you can see. So it just holds that sensor in place, and when you pull it up, it just comes to a stop. Okay, so once we've got the new clip in, now we can remove this sensor. I never had to use grips for this, but if you do, just be careful, except if you got another one on board. Okay, so just be careful when removing this, because this is a part that you need to put into the new manifold. Remove it, inspect it. If it's got debris on it, clean it. You will get this O-ring in your pack, so replace that O-ring, put plenty of lube on it, and put it into the new manifold here. So press and clip. Okay, so that's inserted now, as you can see. Next thing what we want to do is let's move this seal. So again, plenty of lube on it, and that will come in your pack. So let's assume it's a new seal, and we put it on top here. You can do that towards the end as well, because this one may drop out whilst you're moving it about, so you need to be careful. Okay, any washers that you put in which you may feel that it may drop out, it's always best to double check it towards the end. When you put this manifold in, just make sure all of these type of washers are all in. Okay, the last thing you want to do is complete the job, fill the system up, and then it's leaking. Okay, now these two pipes, let's remove the first one, the smaller 15mm pipe. Again, clip comes up, we can slide this pipe out. Sometimes these will give you a bit of a battle, but it does come out eventually. Okay, so this pipe is out, as you can see. You will get a new O-ring in the pack, so you replace that O-ring, put plenty of lube on it, and you can put this pipe in. But before we put this pipe in, let's just put that to one side. Let's undo the bottom one as well. Same thing. So, and that's another reason why you put plenty of WD-40 on it, because it can stick really, really bad. Okay, there you go. So that's out as well. Now what you want to do is, obviously you want to prepare the new manifold with all the clips. So let's just put these clips. These are both same size clips, so you don't need to worry about which one goes where. So let's put this clip in first, and then the second one. Okay, so both clips in. Now what you want to do is you want to put this pipe, the smaller pipe, by smaller I mean size wise, although it's bigger in diameter. This one's 22mm. You want to put 22mm pipe in first, and then 15mm. As you can see, the clip here is in the way. If you put 15mm pipe in first, you won't be able to move that clip back to put your 22mm pipe in. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to put the 22mm pipe in first. Let's put that in here. Did you see that washer dropped out? So that's something that you need to be careful with. You may be in a dark basement, in an area where you may not notice that that's dropped out, and it could be disastrous. Okay, so that's one pipe in, and then same again with the second pipe, so that's second pipe in as well. Okay, keep it in a certain angle where you think when you put this block in, it's not going to be in your way, and it's not going to go directly on the unions, because you want to position everything else correctly first, and then you can slide these to position them. Okay, it's not difficult to move these about, both of these pipes, to position them to go on the unions itself, so you don't need to worry about this side of here at this stage. Now, as you can see, in your new manifold, you have this hole exposed and it's not bunged, as you can see. Now, if you had a bypass pipe coming, then that bypass pipe will go straight into this hole here. However, in this boiler, we don't have a bypass pipe. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to bung this area. Let's put this screw there. So that's that bung that you need to put into your new manifold if you don't have a bypass valve. Okay, so that's the position. So it was sitting like this, and that's where it is. So we need to remove this clip. We need to take this bung out. Obviously, when you're doing a new manifold, you will have all of this in the kit, so it's not inserted already, so you don't need to take it out and then put it into the new one. You can just simply put it into your new manifold, and that will do the job for you. There you go. Okay, so that's out as well. Again, put O-ring on it, put plenty of lube on it, and then that will go into your new manifold, and then you simply just put a clip on it. So let's just put this in first. Okay, so that's in, and then we just slide this clip that comes with it to hold it in place. There we go. So that's now in. So what's dropped out is this top washer, so we need to put that back in, and we also need to put 2 new washers for the plate-to-plate heat exchanger. So let's remove these 2, assuming these were never in, obviously, because if it's a new manifold, then we don't have washers in it. The washers will come in the pack, and then you can just literally put the new washers in. Okay. So again, plenty of lube. I normally use anyway. Silicone grease. So that's in, and your new manifold is now ready to be inserted. Okay, as you can see here, you will have 2 new fiber washers in the pack as well, a 3/4 and 1/2 inch that you will have to replace. So just make sure that you replace those as well, and I'll show you where those go. Okay, let me just wipe my hands. Okay, so the fiber washers, the smaller one goes on here and the larger one goes there. Okay, you need to make sure that you remove the old ones, and when you're removing the old fiber washers, just ensure that the seating area is nice and clean, because sometimes you may leave a piece of old fiber washer on here, and that creates another challenge. Okay, so now once that's done, you're ready to put your manifold back in. So let me just put this camera down, because it's difficult to put the manifold in with one hand. So I'll just try to position the camera so you can see what's going on. Okay, let's see. So that's the new manifold. Obviously it's all ready. The only screw that we need to take out of the pack is the one that's going to be holding the manifold to the plate-to-plate heat exchanger, or holding the plate-to-plate heat exchanger to the manifold, but that's the screw, okay, that you need to put in. What I normally do is I position this manifold in first, like so. There is a little hook that I forgot to show you. Can you see that hook there? Can you see that hook? That hook goes on that back plate on top there. So this manifold actually gets hooked just up here, and then the screw just goes through it. So that's how you know that it's lined up correctly. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to put this manifold, hook it in first, again ensuring that our o-ring is there. And once it's hooked on top of that plate, as you can see, your screw will line up to the hole as well, and then you can just simply screw it in. You don't want to go too tight on it at this stage. You just want to make sure it's in place. So when you line up the plate-to-plate heat exchanger, then you have some maneuverability on your manifold. Okay, that's what I do. And now we will put the screw that's going to be holding the plate-to-plate heat exchanger. Okay, so that screws in. We just need to ensure that plate-to-plate heat exchanger is lined up so we don't cross thread it. Okay, so that's nice and tight now. You can actually nip up the other screw as well if you like at this stage, or you can leave it slightly slack, so when you line up the rest of the pipe work, it'll make it slightly easy for you. So now the next thing I normally do is I just put the top clamp and top pipe in, as you can see. Same again, you just need to line up this plastic collar and then twist it to the left, and that's it. It's nice and secure now. Okay, as you can see, I've still not lined up these two pipes. Let me just move this cable out of the way so you can see. So I've still not lined up the other two pipes. Yeah, so at this stage now I can just line these pipes up. I need to make sure that I've got new fiber washers, and as soon as you've got the new fiber washers, I can line these pipes. So this is all lined up now, and it's just a matter of putting this nut back. And same again with the heating flow pipe. So lift it up slightly, line it up. Okay. And just nip it up. Okay, so once it's fully tight on both sides, and just ensure that it is tight with your adjustable spanner. Yep. Then you can put your cable back on. And there you have it. You have a new manifold in place, and you've successfully now replaced the left hand side manifold or left hand side block on a Worcester Green Star. Now what I normally do is, before I put the condensate trap back in, which will obviously block the whole of that, block the view of the manifold, I tend to now at this stage fill the system up. So I'll unisolate the flow and return valves that I isolated initially, and then I will unisolate the cold water supply into the boiler, obviously turning any taps which were running or you left on hot water side in the property off, just to ensure that you don't have any leaks on the block. Okay, now you can clearly see it. If you put your condensate trap back in front of it, then obviously it'll restrict your view. Yes, you will be able to see it from underneath if there are any drops. And before you fill the system, obviously you came out to it because the manifold was leaking. So normally you will have plenty of water on the boiler or inside the body here. You need to make sure that you dry it with a tissue paper or something before you fill the system back up. So if there is a leak, you will notice it. Okay, and these manifolds, they tend to leak just from there, and it kind of always shoots in a certain angle, and in this way you need to make sure that your gas valve is bone dry as well, okay, before you put everything back on. So that's about it. That's how you change the left hand side manifold, and then you literally simply put your condensate trap back in once you have cleaned it out. Obviously this is the best opportunity. You've got the condensate trap out, don't just put it back in dirty. You need to prime it as well, so clean it out and put it back in. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section below if you have any technical or DIY topics you would like to see next. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.